cast my mind to Calvary. Jesus bled and died for me. I see his wounds, his hands, his feet. My Savior on that cursed tree. His body bound and drenched in tears, they laid him down in Joseph's tomb, the entrance sealed by heavy stone. Messiah still and all alone. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Praise his name forevermore. So for endless days we will sing your praise, oh Lord our God. Then on the third and big shadow, the Son of Heaven rose again. Oh, trample death, where is your sting? The angels roar, Christ the King. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore. So for endless days we will sing your praise, oh Lord our God. To praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, oh Lord our God. Oh Lord our God.
Good morning, church. Welcome to church this morning, wherever you're watching this from, whoever you're watching this with, whichever room you're in this morning. I want to give you a massive welcome to church online. I hope this is okay. I hope nobody's getting bored of what we're doing right now, and this is coming across nice and fresh still and nice and new. We have no other option at the moment. We can't do church in a church. We're not allowed to do that. Places of worship are closed down. In actual fact, we haven't done church in a church about 10 years now. We've done church in hotels, we've done church in schools, we've done church in derelict buildings, we've done church in wedding venues, and more recently we've done church in an old court, which is now the town hall. So this is it. So church is our living room. I have an audience of 2 this morning, which is fantastic. We'll make do with that, and surrounded by this is the living room, so anything could happen. So the doorbell could ring, the door knocker could go, a van could turn up, somebody's phone could go off. This is how we do church. We're not allowed to do it any other way. So I hope this is still fresh. It's still brand new to us. It's still fresh to us. I hope that's coming across okay for you. It'd be great to have all the band here, but we're not allowed to do that even. So it's just us. Okay, are you good? Fantastic. We are talking this morning, as we have done. This is week 3 of a series that we're doing in church called In the Middle of the Bridge. You know by now, if you've been watching, it's called The Middle of the Bridge, and it's really the story and the comings and goings of our trips across the Monk Wearmouth Bridge in Sunderland to the football stadium, back to the shops, to the football stadium, just the encounters that I can remember and things that have happened across that bridge. And and maybe how we feel this morning in the room where you are right now, that some of the things we've experienced or what you are feeling. I want to talk this morning on week 3 of, the title this morning is Surrounded by Giants. Surrounded by Giants. I'm still talking about the syndrome that we talked about last week, although it's not really a syndrome. We use syndrome for so many things, but this syndrome that I called Caleb's syndrome. And like I pointed out last week, he hasn't got a syndrome. Okay, so don't get all kind of worried, and he hasn't got a syndrome. A syndrome is got plenty of symptoms, but not a syndrome. A syndrome is really, a syndrome is a sign. If you read the definition of a syndrome, it's actually a sign. A sign that something's wrong. Because of some behavior that someone's got, it's a sign that, someone, because of the way someone's behaving and the way we behave, that something is wrong. Something is not quite as it should be. Something not quite in line. Something needs to be addressed. It needs addressing, it needs to be fixed, it needs changing before those signs become a lifestyle. So that's really all the definition that I'm reading of a syndrome is. And Caleb displays on these journeys across the bridge so many times some signs that something is wrong, that something needs correcting, that he needs help somehow. And it all relates to how we feel, not just at the moment. I don't think we feel like this just because it's a pandemic or because it's lockdown. I think, if we're honest, we feel like this when life was normal, whatever normal was. Because we all face times when we display signs that something is wrong, that something needs fixing. It's out, the context might be in the lockdown, but it relates to everyday life, wherever we are, whatever we're doing in work, in jobs, in relationships, in families, in church. It just relates to everything. I think it applies to everybody. So it's not for people who are just living on their own, or people this morning who are feeling a bit down, or feeling this morning a bit isolated. I believe a message like this, it's for everybody. People who don't go to church. So if you're watching this morning and going to church on a Sunday morning, it's not your regular routine. In actual fact, going to church on a Sunday morning fills you with horror because of some of the experiences you've had. So as I explained on Wednesday night, we've been building a church, certainly at least for the last 10 years, for people who don't go to church, for people who think of church as boring. So we are called The Edge, and we sometimes push the barriers back and explore creative ways of doing church. So we pump up the volume. We don't turn the volume down. We turn the volume up. We sometimes talk about coffee and Disney and football. And so, it's this message this morning applies to everybody, not just religious people. In actual fact, if you're religious this morning, it probably isn't for you. It's for people who don't call themselves religious. It's for everybody this morning. And I wish we could do this from the place I'm talking about, but we're not allowed to do that. So, one day, maybe when this lockdown is lifted a little bit and there are restrictions that are being lifted, maybe I might do a message from the middle of that very bridge. But I would love to do that. That's kind of what I want to do, to show you how open and how exposed and how cold it can be even in the middle of summer. But it's for everybody this morning, like Caleb, who is displaying signs in the middle of the bridge that something needs fixing, that something is wrong, that you need help this morning. People who can't see the end in sight. Who am I talking to this morning, I wonder? Who can't see the end in sight, and the end to whatever the end of, we're talking about. We're talking in context about the end of this lockdown, then the end of the pandemic. But maybe this morning, it goes beyond that. And maybe I'm talking to people this morning who can't see the end to that fear that you're feeling this morning. You can't see the end to that problem you're going through this morning. You can't see the end to the health issues and the problems and the bad circumstances that are happening. You can't see the end to the storm in your life. You can't see the end. Are you getting what I'm saying? You can't see the end to the attack. So, it applies to the end of the bridge or the pandemic, but it also applies to whatever we're going through. When it just seems so far away, when a solution in the end seems so far, when normal seems so far away. The only way we can see it, the only way we can see the end is, with Caleb, let me use Caleb as an example. Caleb can't see the end of the bridge. In the middle of the bridge, he can't see the end of the bridge. I mean, he's down there. He's like 2 foot nothing. And, I sometimes wonder what it looks like from him down there, from his eyes. We can see it. Dan and I can see it because we are higher. Caleb can't see it because he's lower. So, when we're higher, we get a better view. I'm kind of laying a foundation here for something I'm going to read. But, we get a better view. But Caleb, at 2 foot nothing, down there, all he experiences is, he's, as my title says this morning, he is surrounded by giants. To him, the people around him, he doesn't even come to the top of the legs of a lot of people around him. He literally is surrounded by giants in the middle of that bridge. He's surrounded by people who are like mountains to him. Do you understand that this morning? Caleb just sees people. He sees people's legs in the way. He sees people's legs in front of him. He sees people as a barrier and obstacles. He sees people blocking his way. And when I say that he can't see the end of the bridge, his view is obstructed by the giants. Are you getting what I'm saying this morning? Are you reading in between the lines this morning, right? His view is obstructed by the obstacles. If he's going to change his view, if he's going to see beyond the giants and beyond the people, he needs to be lifted up, right? He needs to be raised up like Dan and I are raised up. He needs to be raised up. And sometimes in the middle of the bridge, I wish we could show you this happening sometime, but sometimes in the middle of the bridge, Caleb can get so disorientated and so distressed sometimes, not too much, but a little bit kind of anxiety ridden, a little bit worried. We can see he's getting a bit worried, and sometimes Dan has to just lift him up for a minute. He has to get hold of him physically and lift him up just for a minute, and he'll say to Caleb, look, can you see? Follow my finger. Can you see? There's the end of the bridge. And he'll say, can you see it now? And then Caleb calms down, and so Dan puts him down among the giants again. Right? He puts him down among the giants again for the rest of the journey. And I'm hoping this morning that this is coming across, because the aim of these messages on a Sunday morning and a Wednesday night, but particularly a Sunday morning, the aim of these messages is to every Sunday to lift people up. I do not want to listen to any messages that take me down. Have you got that? I believe you me, I've sat under messages and sermons that have taken me down, that have made me feel inefficient and unqualified, and I've had conversations with people who brought me down. But I want to tell you this morning, church, the aim of these messages is not to show how clever we are at doing this from a living, or not to show that I'm even a moderate preacher, but the aim of these messages this morning is purely to lift people up in a time when we are prone to be down. To lift people up this morning who are surrounded by giants. Lift people up this morning who are surrounded by obstacles and problems and things so big that you can't see the end of the bridge this morning. And if you could just go a little bit higher. Is that okay? If you could just go a little bit higher, even temporarily, even on a Sunday morning for a short while, if we can just lift you up a little bit. And it's our aim as church, and when all this is over, and we go back to church, and we'd love you, if you don't already come to church, to come. What you will find, like our guarantee is, every Sunday morning in our church, you will have a message, and you will have music and worship and prayers and an atmosphere that will lift you up. So you can have a rotten week, which maybe somebody's had this week. Maybe you've had a rotten week. You've had a rotten week and you feel like, is it worth going on? And you can have been under attack that week, and you might have had people all week at you, and you come to church on a Sunday morning, and the moment the music starts and the moment we begin to talk and begin to speak, you are lifted up. And that's our aim this morning. This is church. Welcome to church. This is church, and we want you to be lifted up this morning, even for a short while, to get you through the next few days. Lifted up by worship and the Word of God. Come on, let me give you a reading from the Bible this morning. It's where all our foundation is. This is not just a teaching class. This is not, what would you call it, personal mentoring or whatever it might, life coaching. Right, it goes way beyond that. This is not counseling. We have a foundation this morning that is in the Bible, the qualified Word of God, that is still relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. And I'm going to read from Acts chapter 3. The book of Acts chapter 3, and verses 6 to 7. And if you've been in church or are in church, you will know this story so well. But maybe there are people this morning who don't know this story. And it's a story of a man who is begging. And to put it in context, this guy is begging outside of a church. Or in those days they called it a temple. But in Acts 3, 6 to 7, the man is begging at the entrance to a church. So as people are coming in, the guy said, have you got any loose change? Have you got any silver or gold you can give me? Have you got any coin? Any spare coins you can give me? You know, like you've seen around cities. And this guy he's reliant on the generosity of people going into church to get him through that day. He's also lame. The Bible says the reason why he was begging is he was a cripple. He'd been down for a few years, right? He's on the pavements. He's on the cold, hard pavement, and he's down, and the people walking around him must look like what? Like giants, right? They must look like giants. It must look like mountains walking around him. And one morning, as people are going to church, he catches the eye of Peter, the disciple of Jesus, and he says to Peter, have you got any loose change? Can you help me? Have you got any loose coins at all in your pocket? And Peter said, listen now, I'm out. Peter says, he says, to quote the Bible, silver and gold I do not have. He says, I have not got, honestly, any loose change on me. But then he says this. He said, but what I do have, I give to you. He says, in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, listen to this, rise up, get up, rise up and walk. And the Bible says in verse 7, listen to this, listen to these words. And Peter took him by the right hand and lifted him up. Remember the picture that I painted a few moments ago of going across the bridge of Caleb needing help and Dan lifting him up above the crowd, lifting him up above the giants, lifting him up across the massive mountains in front so he could see over. And the Bible says that Peter got hold of his hand and he lifted the guy up. The guy who had not been on his feet for years. The guy who the only view that he had ever seen was from the pavement, from the bottom, from the lowest point you can possibly get, and everything looked huge and big and like giants, and he was lonely. And that morning Peter said, come on, just rise up, got hold of his hand and lifted him up. And the Bible says that immediately his feet and his ankle bones received the strength that they had never known. Strength that he had not known. Our prayer this morning is if we can just give you some strength this morning, if we can just lift you up this morning, if we can just say to you, come on, rise up and walk. You can do this. get off the pavement. Don't be under the giants, get over the giants, and we lift you up this morning so you can see the end of the bridge, the end of your problem, the end of your pain, the end of your circumstances, because it will end. It will finish. There will be an end to whatever you're going through this morning. And we want to lift you up this morning to do that. I hope that's okay. Don't know how many points I'll get through. I've got a few, but whatever we don't get through, we'll save till next week. Is that all right? Everybody okay? Come on, let's go to work. You see, if we can lift you up this morning, because when you are lifted up, point number one, if you've got that, write that down and look at it later on. Point number one, when you are lifted up, number one, at least you can see the possibilities. Because when you are down on the pavement and when you are down on the ground like this man was, you cannot see any possibility of an end or any possibility of a cure or any possibility of any help coming your way anytime soon. So when Caleb's down there at 2 foot tall, with all the giants around him, he can't see any point. When we keep saying to him, we're almost there, come on, just a few more yards, he can't see the possibility. He has to be lifted up to see the possibilities. The man had to be taken by Peter by his hand and lifted up and raised up to see any possibility of a future. And we want this morning, every single person watching, to be lifted up. Have you got that? To lift you up so you can see the possibilities. So your faith can rise and your worship can rise and your praise can rise and your thanks can rise and your head can be lifted up this morning. Get your head up this morning. Get your head off the pavement and get your head up above the giants and above the problems, because we're going to lift you up this morning. Whether you like it or not, we're going to lift you up. At least you can see the possibilities beyond the problems that this morning to some people, something I see is different to the way that you see something. So I'm not seeing many giants around this morning. The only giant that I can see at the moment is getting to the end of whatever we're going through and getting back into church and getting church running. But this morning, I can't see whatever is a giant to you. Your loneliness might be a giant. Your insecurity might be a giant. Your stress might be a giant. Your finances might be a giant. Your going back to the job might be a giant. Your fear might be a giant. Every time you watch the news, it fills you with fear. But if we can lift you up this morning, does anybody need this morning lifting up above all those giants that you're facing, above all those mountains that are standing there this morning? Or maybe this morning you're doing good and you're doing fine, and bless God for that. But maybe this morning you know somebody who could just do with a hand up. Who could just do with a hand this morning. You see, the man begging outside of the church wanted a hand out. But Peter gave him a hand up. And this morning, a handout isn't the answer. A handout for some people would be nice and be temporary, but a handout is not the permanent answer this morning. It's a hand up that's a permanent answer, because when Peter took him by the right hand, he lifted him up. We are here this morning not to give you a handout. We'd love to be able to do that. But something more important than a handout is a hand up. Do you know somebody this morning who you know is on the pavement, who you know is surrounded by stuff that they can't handle and it's getting to them? And this morning they need a hand up. Share this message with them. Tell them about this message. Show them this message if you need to. Show them the link. You see, we need people in our lives. All of us do. Whether you're a minister like me or whatever you're doing this morning, whether we are in a great family, which we're thankful for this morning, everybody's healthy and good and we're okay, or whether this morning we are struggling, we all need people in our lives this morning. We all need messages that will give us a hand up and not the wrong hand. Because there are plenty of people this morning who will give us the wrong hand. Give us false hope, or give us gloom and doom or give us negative news and negative messages. Well, this morning, we need to be in the right hands this morning. Aren't you glad this morning, all you Christians, all you believers, all you faith people this morning, that you're in the right hands this morning and not the wrong hands? We need to be in the right hands, not the wrong hands. I need this morning to be in strong hands. I need this morning to be in safe hands. Not hands that are going to disappoint me, and not hands that are going to let us down, and not hands that are unsafe, but the hands of God this morning are strong. The hands of God are strong today, as strong as ever. The virus and the pandemic and the lockdown and the global crisis has not weakened the hand of God this morning. The hand of God is still strong today. Can somebody in church say amen this morning? The hands of God are safe today. If I can put my life into the hands of God this morning, which I did many, many years ago, some of you have, but maybe you haven't yet. And this morning, I want to invite you, if you're watching this podcast and you're not into church and haven't sat in church like many of us have, and this morning you don't know what I mean by the hands of God are strong and the hands of God are safe. What I'm saying, I'm inviting you this morning to put your life, to put your family's life, to put your fear, to put your worry, to put your stress, to put your giants into the hands of God this morning. You can do that right where you are, in that living room, in that car, in that bedroom, in that kitchen, wherever you're watching this from this morning. You can put your hands into the hands of God this morning, and the hands of God are strong, and the hands of God are safe today, and the hands of God are certain today. Why don't you do that this morning with a simple prayer that maybe you don't know how to pray? Last time you prayed, you were back in Sunday school or back at a christening or a wedding, and somebody prayed on your behalf. Well, this morning you can just pray, God, I don't understand everything that's going on. I don't like everything that's going on, but this message this morning is helping me. And this morning, God, I want to put my life into your hands, God. I want to commit my life to your hands. I want to put my family into your hands. I want to put my health into your hands. I want to put my future into your hands. And by doing that, you will discover, the moment you do that, even in the middle of the bridge, that the hands of God are still strong, they're still safe, they're still certain. Somebody just praise God this morning for that in church. I feel like I'm in church. Preach it, white boy. Feel like I'm in church. Okay, let's get to number 2, and I think we'll finish on number 2. Feel like number 2. We're just having some fun. Okay, we need to have some fun, right? Because it's miserable. Some of the stuff you watch on TV, it's miserable. So let's have some fun, okay? Number 2, and I'll finish on this. Number 2. You see, we're talking about if we can just take your hand and lift you up. Because when we lift you up, number 2, at least your perspective has changed. Okay? At least your perspective is changed. The man on the pavement, his perspective was flat and pavement and people walking above him and people who think they are better than him, and there's no end to the crisis. Caleb's perspective, at 2 foot something high, going across the bridge, in the middle of the bridge, his perspective is people's legs. His perspective is he can't see anything. He can't see forward. This is on a good day going to the match, right? He can't see forward. We don't get very many, but he can't see forward and he can't see behind him. But when Dan can just lift him up a little bit, and when Peter got hold of the hand of this man and lifted him up, at least his perspective was changed. And when Dan does that to Caleb and he looks back, Dan can say, look how far you've come. Look, Caleb, look how far you've come. You've walked all that way from those shops. You've walked all that way from that end of the bridge, and now we're going to that end of the bridge. It's not that far. Perspective. And some of you this morning, have already come so far. Some of you this morning have beaten cancer. Some of you this morning have beaten diseases. Some of you this morning have beaten depression. Some of you this morning have beaten the words of people that spoke against you and said you'd be nothing and you'd be nobody. And this morning you are making it and you're halfway across the bridge. Look how far you've come. Come on, look how far God has brought you. You've already done so well. You're still watching this morning. You're still breathing this morning. You've still got faith this morning. Just to hang on for a bit longer. You've already done so well. Now is not the time to get trampled. Come on, Caleb, look how far you've come. Don't get trampled by people's feet now. Don't get buried under the giants now. You've already come so far. This is not the time to fall. We want to pray this morning as we finish. We want to pray this morning for you and people that you know. We want to pray this morning that God's word will lift you up. How many of you would have ever thought that the Bible would help you? Come on. How many people would have thought before this crisis? And you just started to watch these messages, or you tuned in by accident, or somebody gave you this message. Who would have thought this morning that the Bible, which is thousands of years old, would actually help you in the middle of 2020, in the middle of what we're going through right now? Well, our prayer this morning is that God's word, we just read God's word, will lift you up. Get up this morning. Rise up and walk this morning. We want to take your hand. Sometimes I'll say to Caleb in the middle of the bridge, you know, when he's flagging a little bit, which he does, and when he's whinging and whining a little bit, it doesn't happen all the time. Becky, don't worry about him, he's fine. We're going to make a man of him. And he's getting really tired. And sometimes, just to encourage him, right, I'll say to Caleb, come on, Caleb, lift up those tired legs. Come on, and I'll show him. Lift up those legs. And that kind of makes him laugh a little bit when we do a funny walk. Lift up those legs, Caleb. Look how far you've come. You're over the worst bit. The best is yet to come. Come on, who needs that this morning? Lift up your tired legs. Get on those tired legs this morning and give some praise to God. And get on those tired legs this morning and give some worship and thanks to God this morning. And that will help you, even temporary, the next few days, to get you through the next few days. And then we're here again to lift you up again. Lift up those tired legs, Caleb. The best is still yet to come. What is yet to come for you? This is finishing right now. I've got 2 minutes. What is yet to come? What is your incentive for getting across whatever bridge you're going across this morning? What's your incentive this morning? What is your rainbow at the end of this bridge? What are you aiming for when all this is done and finished? We're back to a new normal. What is your best to come? You know, for Caleb, right? For Caleb, and for me sometimes, for Caleb, the end of the bridge means sausage rolls and donuts. So Dan and I will say to him, listen, when you get across this bridge and we get in the ground, you've got some sausage rolls to get all over your face and your hair and your coat and your jacket and your trousers. And we've got some donuts to stuff in your face. And so that keeps him going. That puts a little bit of extra strength into your legs. And some people this morning, you just need a little bit more energy in your legs. You need something to look forward to. Well, what's your best is yet to come for you? What's at the end of the bridge for you? What's at the end of this journey for you? You see, for you this morning, for a lot of people this morning, the best is yet to come means it's your freedom that's to come. Because you are tired of being enclosed and you are tired of being restricted. And I'm not just talking about lockdown. No. You've been restricted by people's words. Your freedom was taken away by somebody bullying you. Your freedom was taken away by addiction. Your freedom was taken away by trying to keep everybody happy. Well, I'm telling you this morning, don't stop in the middle of the bridge. Get across the bridge, and your best is yet to come. It's your freedom. For some people this morning, it's your healing. The healing that you've prayed for and desired and need so much. Can I tell you this morning, if we just lift your legs up, if we can just lift you up this morning, you'll be able to see above the giants, the giant of sickness and the giant of pain. And this morning, be able to see your healing is still to come. Your healing is yet to come. For some people this morning, it's peace. Oh man, peace that you've been searching for so long. Just that peace you need inside. Just that peace you need in your heart and in your mind and in your emotions. And you've been searching for that peace. I want to tell you this morning, hey, listen. Lift up those tired legs this morning. Come on, one more push, one more effort. And the best at the end of your journey yet to come is your peace. For some people, it's a new start. I wonder how many people, before all this happened, prayed for change. I know I did. I wonder how many people, before all this happened, prayed, God, do something new, or give me something new. Well, here we are. Welcome to the new. You prayed for it. You prayed for change. And some people have been praying for a new start. It wasn't working before. Whatever it wasn't working. The way you managed your life and the way you managed your relationships and finances and everything else in your life, it just wasn't working. Well, hey, guess what? The best is yet to come. There is a new start. There's a new world going to be out there. Lift up your legs. Get up and stand up this morning, and let's put some strength into those weak legs this morning. Amen. Can everybody say amen this morning? Hey, listen. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. Make his face to shine upon you, and the Lord be gracious to you, and the Lord give you peace. The Lord give you a good night's sleep this week, sleeping like a baby. That the Lord give you some rest in your mind and some peace in your mind. The Lord give you some peace this morning in your emotions and in your heart, the peace that only he can give. Have a great week. I hope this helps. Let us know if it helps. Amen. Fantastic. Have a great week, and we will see you very soon. God bless you.
Hi church, it's this time of the week again. Generally I would imagine the time of the week when you think, well, I've heard the preach, I think we'll turn off. Well, I'm just going to encourage you this week not to do that. It's given time, but I just want to encourage you more than anything else today. So I'm going to read a psalm to you, and it's a psalm that I read almost daily. At the beginning of the year I decided this was going to be my psalm for the year, and I'm going to read it to you right now, and it's Psalm 20, and it says this. It says, in your day of danger may the Lord answer and deliver you. Isn't that good? That's a good start. May the name of God of Jacob set you safely on high. May supernatural help be sent from his sanctuary. We all need some supernatural help, don't we, right now? May he support you from Zion's fortress. May he remember every good gift you have given him, and celebrate every sacrifice of love you have ever shown him. May God give you every desire of your heart and carry out every plan as you go to battle. Now, this situation we're in has been described as a battle, hasn't it? Like a war. But you know, we've got God on our side. And I just want to encourage you today, church, to remember that you're not alone. You have God on your side. And it says, when you succeed, we will celebrate and shout for joy. Flags will fly when victory is yours. Yes, God will answer your prayers and we will praise him. He's going to answer our prayers, church, and there'll come a time when we will just be praising him for getting us through this situation. I know God gives me all that I ask for and brings victory to his anointed king. My deliverance cry will be heard in his holy heaven. By his mighty hand, miracles will manifest through his saving strength. Some find their strength in the weapons and wisdom, but my miracle deliverance can never be won by men. Our boast is in the Lord our God, who makes us strong and gives us victory. Our enemies will not prevail. I'm going to read that again. Our enemies will not prevail. They will only collapse and perish in defeat, while we will rise up full of courage. Give victory to our King, O God. The day we call on you, give us your answer. I'm going to pray that over you all this week. And if you can just remember that psalm, read it, Psalm 20. And just as we come to giving now, I'm not going to go on very much because you know the whole thing now. I'm sure you do. And the details come on screen at the end of this. But you know, if you are giving, you can give by standing order. And to do that, you just go onto our Edge Church website page and you'll be guided through. Otherwise, you can still continue giving by cash or check the way that you have been doing. Have a fantastic week, church, and we'll see you the same time next week. Bye.